Hello and welcome to the Broke But Not Broken podcast. This is episode C, and I am your host, Destokat, aka Des. So I'm not going to be making any more promises in terms of when the next episode is going to be posted, because honestly, I think that's a disservice mainly to myself. I shouldn't be making promises, although I really want to keep them. I can't guarantee. So I will start making promises once I have a streak already in place. Again, I want to have the next episode be at the most a week away from this one, but last time I said that was like a month ago, so who knows where it'll go from here. Alright, so let's just jump right into what I have to talk about. Let's see. Let's start with my mood, I guess. Well, I'm really tired, like both physically and mentally. Physically, it's really because, well, I've always been like that for the most part. I'm not really an active person, but I feel like if I was a bit more active, that would contribute to my lack of being tired, right? And then mentally, just everything that's going on in the world, school, work, or I guess for my purposes, the stress of not having work, right? Not having that financial security. It's kind of stressful because right now I feel like it's not really fully in my control. And just tired because it's tiring because I have to constantly think about it, right? So whereas it just, when you have to keep thinking about things, it's tiring, even if it's not like a physical activity. And everyone can relate to that. I have some topics that I wanted to discuss, but I've written these maybe a month ago, so I don't know if I'm as passionate about them as I was back then. But I'll just go right into it. So one of the things is I am working on becoming a public school teacher, and being a public school teacher in New York, I have to, be more, everybody should, but I have to be maybe even more than the average person, conscious of the way I address and perceive other people, people with different identities or different backgrounds, races, sexual orientation. I have to really be aware of that more as a teacher, right? Because I'm not trying to have any biases against any certain group, and I'm also trying to help them all, regardless of who they are, right? So, for the most part, I feel like I've handled on that, at least at a moral level. I feel like I don't really have any negative biases towards people. I know I have some, and everybody does. It would be ridiculous of me to not admit that, but at least I feel like I have a stronger grasp than the average person. But the thing is, one of the issues is like semantics. The way words come out of my mouth basically might be perceived not the best to people who are not used to me, right? So all these new students I'm gonna have, they're gonna be people who have not seen me before. They don't know how I go about sarcasm or humor, or right. So like, I can say something that I'm used to saying to my friends that they know I'm just kidding, but someone new might take it the wrong way, right? So I have to be conscious about that, especially because these people or these students are supposed to see me as some sort of role model, and even if not as a role model, see me as someone who they can look for help, right? And they don't want the person they want to look for the help to be someone who makes them feel uncomfortable, right? So to nitpick on a very specific topic under this whole umbrella about being culturally responsive, I guess, right, is the word I want to use, is I see guys a lot. I know this is one of the more sillier takes, right? Even in the podcast, I notice I'm saying stuff like, you guys know, or how are you guys doing, right? Guys is a very male-oriented word, And all my life I use guys to describe both people. But if I really think about it, if I see like a group of female students, not a group of male students or a group of male and female mix, but just a group of female students, I said, hey guys, what's going on? Maybe if I really think about it, that does feel a little bit iffy, right? But only a very small bit. But even so, I think it's worth considering, especially in the climate of the culture that we're living in right now, and the future that's gonna stem from that, right? So I'm trying to use or figure out how to go about not saying guys so much. It just flows so nicely when you're referring to a group of people, right? Hey guys, how's it going, guys? It's just, it feels so natural for me, right? But I'm trying to really, because I'm going to be referring to a group of people a lot, so I'm trying to find an alternative that really works for me. Some that I found is they, but they is kind of hard to use sometimes. You can't really switch they and guys, like, but you could sort of in like some scenarios, like how are your students doing? They are all doing good, right? That's pretty gender neutral. It's good. Everyone is also a pretty nice word alternative to use. Everyone actually, when I took a Japanese course, my teacher would always refer to everybody, would welcome us in the classroom as minasan, right? And that just means, when I figured out what minasan meant, it meant everyone, right? So it's nice that, it was kind of nice to like think of it like welcome everyone, right? I don't usually say that, but everyone is something I want to like, it's already in my vocabulary, of course, but I want to use it a lot more, right? Especially as a alternative to guys. So yeah, trying to work on not saying guys so much, right? Is it a terrible habit? I don't think so, but is it a habit that can be improved on? Yeah, I would say so. So like, all the little things, if you work on them, they can build up to, bigger improvements, right? But you want to be at the same time working on the small things and the big things at once. And this is just one of the small things I want to work on in my life. Let's see here. It's raining where I am. I found a nice spot on a bench in a park under a tree, so I'm not really getting wet, but I hope the noise won't be a big issue. But I'll find out when I listen back to this recording. So far, I think I'm doing okay. I might be talking a little too fast, but part of the reason for that is, well, there shouldn't be any reason. Well, there is a reason, but like I shouldn't be doing that regardless of the reason. But the reason is because I guess I just want to get this over with, just because, talking in a public space is kind of still a bit nerve-wracking for me, a little bit, just a little bit. But I also realize, or I should realize, that talking faster will not make the podcast go faster, because the podcast is supposed to be about 20 minutes, right? So if I speak faster, it doesn't really help my case. Talking slower helps me fill up the time, and also helps me work on the real goal of this podcast, which again I will mention because it's been a little while, to work on my way of speech, I guess, right? I want to be able to talk better. That can mean so many things, but it's a personal goal. I want to be able to talk better in my own opinion. And slowing down and enunciating is the real key here. And it's also going to help me fill up time on the podcast. So it's a win-win for me, but I'm still fighting against that for some reason unconsciously. Anyways, let's see. Last episode of the podcast, I talked about buying a vinyl record of Foster the People's third album, Sacred Hearts Club, from eBay. And I was complaining that the songs were, the first two songs on the record were skipping. And I was going to see about emailing the guy I bought it from if he can give me some money back. Because I didn't want to return the vinyl because I collected as an art piece and it looks really nice. And it was the only reasonable price one I could find. So I don't care that the first two tracks skip, but I would feel a little bit better about it if I could get some of the money back I paid for it. So yeah, I reached out, and he actually gave me like 10 bucks or 15, I can't really remember, dollars back from the vinyl. And like, it's awesome. Like, sometimes when things like that happen, I'm just happy that they said yes, you know? I like, if I didn't care about the money, I would have been like, you know what? You're such a nice guy. You don't even have to return me anything. Like, I'm satisfied that you actually would have, right? But right now, I'm not like rolling in the money, so I'll take an extra 10, 15 bucks here and there. But I really appreciate that. Things like that I like to keep in mind going forward in my life, you know? If I sold like something and it got damaged in shipping, and the guy reached out really nicely to me, like, hey, maybe I can get $5 back for the, you know, one of the pages of the book got ripped or something. If I'm, you know, I might do it, right? Just because, like, I would want someone to do that for me, right? Yep. People tell you, do unto others as you do for them, or as you'd want for yourself, right? People know that phrase very much, but as much as people have been told that, as much as people have been told about that, I feel like they just as easily forget, or they don't really use that advice. I also forget about it all the time, but when I remember it, I regret not always keeping it in mind. So I'm gonna, like everyone should, keep that idea of, like, you know, treat others as you treat yourself mentality. You should keep that in your head every day, not just like when you feel like you need to. Let's see what else. On the second podcast, it was a lot more noisier than the first. So I actually was tempted, and I did do some editing on the video. It was actually a little bit shorter than my first episode, which kind of bothered me because still a little early into this whole adventure of making podcasts, so I don't want to start getting lazy already. So, but I have a good feeling that this episode will easily hit the 20-minute mark, but I could probably go a bit over, but I'm gonna try to stop it. I'm gonna try to close it out once it gets to that 20-minute mark. Yeah, so I did some slight editing, cutting out where large portions of the noise were. I had to redo the introduction because it was really loud, and yeah, it was still relatively noisy because I can't really cut out the sounds while I was talking, but I'm trying to be more conscious of that, making podcasts and like pausing the recording or just stop talking, so I know where I can just cut out really obnoxious sounds. I don't seem to be doing that today, but it's kind of a new setting, so I kind of want to just see how it plays out. So again, like another experiment, a bird was just like chirping quite loudly about a few seconds ago, and I could have paused, but I just want to see how it actually affects the background noise. Let's see here. I have a goal by maybe the end of next year to self-publish a book on Amazon, like just for myself, not for money, not for popularity, I guess. I would like to have a physical book of my poetry, right? I'm planning on just putting, I think I mentioned this before actually, I think that I would like to have, at the moment I have 100 poems published, I would like to self-publish a book for myself, just to have. I think it'd be nice. So right then and there, I had people walking past me talking, so I decided to go for the pause. Yeah, so I'm not completely gonna blank that out, but you know, I'm trying a little bit. I was talking about poetry. Yeah, poetry. So my goal by next year, self-publish a book, 100 poems. I think I can do it. Well, it should be doable. Will it hit the timeline? I don't know, but at one point in my life, it's gonna happen, I believe. I only have 4 poems down, but to be fair, I've been not having a proper writing space or even like motivation to write. But I feel like if I give myself that space like I'm doing right now for this podcast, I can churn out poems more easily. My last summer class ends this Thursday, or I guess Thursday I'm recording this podcast, so I'll have 2 weeks free. I'll probably be able to do a lot more stuff for myself during that time. And if I don't come out with a podcast in those 2 weeks, I'm gonna feel bad about it. I will actually, but I think I'll be able to do it. So the next one, no promises, but I feel that it won't be too long after this one. All right, let's see what else. That's all my notes. But what have I've done a couple of things recently. I went to go see a couple of movies in theaters. The first one I saw recently was The Green Knight, which the reason why I saw that movie is because one of my favorite actors, Dev Patel, who you might know was the main character in the movie Slumdog Millionaire, which I think a lot of people have seen. Movie Green Knight. It was a really good movie. It was probably the first like fantasy movie I've ever seen. It was about it's a hero's journey story basically. It was based off some old poem, like about knights and honor and chivalry and all that. I thought it was a pretty good movie. It helped a lot that I looked into the context of the poem before watching it. Otherwise, I might have been really confused. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And again, going back a few seconds ago, I said it was the first fantasy movie I've ever seen. I've never seen any Lord of the Rings or like The Hobbit. I've seen Harry Potter. I don't know if that really falls in the same realm. But yeah, those kind of movies I never really got a chance to watch. Maybe at one point I will be watching Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all that, because I hear they're great movies. So I do want to watch a lot more of the older movies I never really, I guess, cared about. And now they're kind of like, in a way, outdated. At least, like, technically they're outdated. But, I feel like because people still talk about it every now and then, the quality is still there for rewatchability. I also saw the new Suicide Squad. For 1 second, let me talk about the previous Suicide Squad, which was not that great of a movie. It was the one with Will Smith in it. And yeah, the reason I watched the first Suicide Squad is because one of my favorite bands, or actually my favorite band of all time at the moment, 21 Pilots, had a song on the soundtrack, which actually didn't even appear until the end credits. But I was so happy that I got to hear the song. I mean, I was fine watching the movie just to hear it, even if it was in the end credits. Anyways, the new Suicide Squad movie, which just came out, is much better. It was directed by James Gunn, who directed the Guardian of the Galaxy films, which are like one of my more favorite Marvel movies. Right? They're more comedy oriented than action oriented, but they still have action, of course, because they're Marvel movies. But the Suicide Squad, the new one, is a DC movie. Regardless, they're superhero movies, or superhero movies. I'll just call it that. Keep it simple. Yeah. It was good. It was really good, actually. I laughed a lot. John Cena was in it. If you don't know what John Cena is, he's a WWE wrestler. And I thought he did pretty good. I think he's gonna have he played a character called Peacemaker, who is a villain, but he justifies all of his actions as if they are, how do I say this? Everything he does as a villain, he justifies as his justice, right? So he has this outward image of a good guy, hence his name is Peacemaker, but for example, he would do what he needs to do if he has to like hurt others to do it, right? So he still is a villain overall, or at least on the inside, overall, yeah. So yeah, Suicide Squad and The Green Knight, two movies I would recommend. They're both really good. The Green Knight's a great fantasy tale, and the Suicide Squad is a great comedy action superhero movie. And the characters are all in Suicide Squad. The main characters. They have ridiculous powers. One's called Polka Dot Man. He shoots polka dots. Take that at face value. Another character is called Ratcatcher 2. Ratcatcher 1 was apparently the girl's father, but Ratcatcher 2 is she can control rats, right? It sounds ridiculous, but it was a very good movie. Very funny. Even if you don't like superhero movies, I think you'll definitely get a laugh out of that one. I have some albums to review, but I think I'll do that in the next one. This time I'll stick with those movie reviews. Anyways, thank you for listening. Last time I said thank you for watching, and I was highly ridiculed by that by a single person. But I got it this time. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a great day, and hope to make another one real soon.